Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the final scheduled All Phases Renovations event from the virtual Stafford Motor Speedway. I'm Kyle Rickey, joined by Jeff McConey, along with our producer from the Global Sim Racing channel, Sean Ambrose, who is using the cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Tonight, we conclude this eStafford Motor Speedway series with Tour-type modifieds. Now, the last time that we raced this style of race car, Jeff, was back on May 15th. Brian Narducci won on that evening. Does that make him a favorite to win here tonight?
Brian Narducci is always strong in these cars because he and Mike Christopher Jr. finished first and second in the overall rankings for the Tour Modifieds on iRacing last season. They are coming in strong. Mike Christopher Jr. now just 0.05 of a second off of the fastest time in practice. So I would say, yes, Brian Narducci, definitely one of the favorites here. He ran an 18.576. That's about a 10.5 off the fastest lap Aaron Clemens put down. Mike Christopher Jr., though, he's someone you have to keep an eye on as well. Some other drivers, Tyler Wood, Robbie Keneally, Matt Swanson, all up there near the front. So there's a lot of drivers that could win this. Absolutely, though, Brian Narducci is one of the favorites to win.
About 4 minutes left in this practice session. Now on Wednesday night, we ran the final Horton Group fan night where over 30 fans competed in a similar type format than what we're going to have here tonight. Robbie Keneally, who you mentioned a moment ago, won the event leading all 80 laps, which allows him to race here this evening. In fact, all of the top 5 finishers from Wednesday night are allowed to compete here tonight with the pros, and those include Ryan Libby, Aaron Clemens, Zane Farrell, and last week's super late model winner Tyler Wood. So I asked the similar question, Jeff. Does that make them maybe some early race favorites because they just did this 48 hours ago?
They certainly are some of the favorites. They have experience here, and they've all been doing really well these past few weeks. Keep an eye on Aaron Clemens. He's really quick in practice here. But most important than anything else is where you line up for the feature. So it's good to have a good time in qualifying. It helps you get a good starting spot in the heat race. But where you finish in that heat race can really determine your entire night. Because if you have to go to the Consi, you're going to be starting at the back. So if you're up front, it makes your night a whole lot easier. We saw a couple drivers on Wednesday night. Josh Schlatz comes to mind, just charging through the field. But of those 30 drivers, seeing 1 or 2 of them move their way up, Zane Farrell moved his way up as well, now that I think about it. But having only 1 or 2 drivers really push their way through the field says a lot that these cars, it's hard to make passes. It's a very unstable setup. It wants to cut loose sometimes on corner exit. These drivers are going to have to be careful. So really where you start can determine a lot of where you finish.
3 of the top 5 drivers from Wednesday night's main event are in the top 5 in practice now, led by Aaron Clemens, the leader in this practice session. Tyler Wood is 3rd. Robbie Keneally is in 4th. A few weeks ago, we featured the SK Modifieds. Teddy Hodgson picked up the win on that night, but tonight, a bit of a different animal with the Tour Type Modified. Jeff, explain the differences between the 2 types of cars that, for the most part, look pretty similar on the racetrack.
They do look very similar on the racetrack because they are the same chassis. You can swap an engine in and out from an SK Modified to make it a Tour Modified. So the Tour Mods, same tires, same chassis, same everything, except the engine, 364 cubic inches, huge amounts of power being put down here. It's a 4-barrel Holley carburetor, still a 2-speed transmission though, so you can lift off the gas and use basically the transmission to slow the car down, use the engine instead of too much brake. The top speed of these things is 180 miles an hour because the chassis is just so darn light at only 2,600 pounds. Now, they're not going to be getting up to 180, probably closer to about 120 here tonight, but these cars can put down a lot of power. They've got big, wide wheels, 15 inches. They are some very difficult cars to drive, and they put down a lot of power and a lot more power compared to the SK Modifieds. They're about a second quicker.
Difficult to drive indeed. Those of you watching the practice feed right now, man, they are struggling out there. Hopefully, they're getting all the bugs worked out of them here in this practice session, which has about 30 seconds to go. So before the end of this practice session, and then we'll jump into qualifying, those of you that have never been to the Stafford Motor Speedway before, it is a half-mile racetrack in Stafford Springs, Connecticut. Let's further introduce you to the famous Connecticut Stafford Half-Mile Oval.
Welcome to Stafford. This half-mile oval was built in 1870 for a different type of horsepower, horse racing, and then automobile racing took over after that. This place is not as flashy or fancy as the half miles that the Cup cars go to today, but this busy oval can still put on a fantastic show full of action for the fans and intense competition for the drivers. Uniquely banked, it poses a challenge for all comers. Turns 1 and 2 are banked at 9 degrees, where turns 3 and 4 are banked a little less at 7 degrees. The apron here at Stafford is known for being very wide but flat. Only the bravest of drivers with the utmost grip can make passes down there. Short tracks equal close racing and usually leads to shorter tempers. Keeping calm at Stafford rewards the drivers. It's like the old racing expression, to finish first, you must first finish. Corner exit tends to be the most challenging place on the track, where the fast lane sweeps right out of the corners towards that wall that awaits you. Stafford is an old, worn-out surface, so managing the tires is also key to finding victory lane here. All in all, Stafford poses a fun challenge to drivers, and it's always sure to put on a great show. So settle in, buckle up, it's bound to be a great race.
So that's a bit of the lay of the land here at the Stafford Motor Speedway as we get set for qualifying. And then the format here tonight after this qualifying session, we're going to have some qualifying heat races. The top 5 out of each of those heats will move into the feature event. Everybody else goes to the last chance qualifying race, and that'll make up the starting field for tonight. Just under 30 drivers entered, so it'll be interesting to see if that LCQ is needed here this evening, as Pete Thickett right now leads the way. What have you seen thus far in practice, Jeff? Well, who's caught your eye, as we have had these cars on the racetrack now for quite some time with practice and now qualifying underway?
What caught my attention the most is the first probably 10, 12 cars were all within a tenth of each other. That is insanely close. The entire field as well, about within 3/10 of each other, all the way from Aaron Clemens down to RJ Serdal. Larry Westgate didn't turn too many laps here, but now in qualifying, he's running 18.974. You see out on track, there's Dan Butler. He's having himself a really good night. He's told me all week how excited he is, so I think he's ready to hit the track and do well.
And Dan Butler on the racetrack, and while we're on him, remembering somebody pretty special to the Stafford Motor Speedway family that we lost earlier this week.
Absolutely. We're getting a close-up of that sticker there. They are for sale. You can contact Gary Spinato. You can get one of the real stickers. I think they're $2 each, and they've got hundreds of them. So it's a really great way to honor the memory. Very sad to see it happen. I know a lot of people were affected by it. So
yeah, Robert Baggett
really,
passing away.
Right.
Late last week, they known as the YouTube guy, videotaping. I don't think we call it videotaping anymore, but video capturing the races each and every week on Friday nights, and did a lot of the Monday night Wild Thing kart programs and uploaded them on his YouTube page. And he's been featuring some of the drivers during the off season. So tough loss this past week. With the loss of Robert Baggett. Several of those drivers will be running stickers in the real world as well once we get up and rolling. Again, tonight's event brought to you by All Phases Renovations. We'd like to thank them for their sponsorship of this series over the last couple of months, trying to get us through the shutdown period that we are currently in and hopefully on our way out of. Racing for a purse tonight, $250. $150 will go to the winner, $75 to second place, third dollars. Wow. $3, yeah. $25 to third place. They are located in southeastern Massachusetts. Give Larry a call for all of your outdoor construction needs. They include patios, pool renovations, outdoor bars and grills, decks, and a whole lot more. Check them out on Facebook, All Phases Renovations, or give them a call at 508-332-6316. I knew what I meant, but I just couldn't formulate the words correctly, I guess. And that happens more often than you think with me.
Yeah, well, you know what? I do the same thing as well. I think every commentator does it. We are professional English speakers, but boy, is it hard sometimes.
It's hard to put it together. We got the words. It's just putting the words together. You see Cassandra Cole on the racetrack. SK Light competitor at the Stafford Motor Speedway in her, I believe, third season in an SK Light, putting down some laps here, has improved quite a bit each and every week here on the iRacing platform here at the eStafford Speedway. She is currently 6th on the leaderboard, a couple tenths, not even a couple tenths, about a tenth, not even a half a tenth behind Mason Tessier. That's how close they are at the front of the field. Jonathan Pulio, another SK Light competitor at Stafford. second-generation driver. There's Teddy Hodgson riding the wall on the front straightaway, the winner the last time we ran modifieds here at the Stafford Motor Speedway. And that'll do it for qualifying. Mason Tessier picks up the pole, and that means he's on the pole for qualifying heat race number 1, which we will jump into here in just a moment. And we'll go to Jeff with the starting lineup.
Starting on the pole for heat race number 1 is going to be Mason Tessier. Tyler Wood starts off second. Cassandra Cole in third. Kyle Johnson in fourth. Travis Hydar rounding out the top 5. He's got Pete Thickett to his outside and Dan Wesson behind him. Starting in 8th, Mark Alkus, and 9th is slated to be, there he is, Larry Westgate of All Phases Renovations, owner of Matt Swanson's Tri-Track car as well. So we will see 2 old blues out here tonight once again.
And the last time we had that, I think they were both racing for the lead at one point, and it was really tough for us to figure out who was where without the exception of timing and scoring. So, yeah, hopefully, we talked last time that it wasn't going to happen, that there was none of prayer in the world. Sean said, don't worry about it. The chances of those two being together are slim, and what happens?
Oh, yeah,
they're together on lap 1 and front row, yeah. Pace laps are underway. It'll be Mason Tessier and Tyler Wood, 2 drivers that transferred from the Wednesday night Horton Group event, and they will line up here on the front row. Tyler Wood won the super late model event a week ago here at the virtual Stafford Motor Speedway and did well the other night as well, finishing in the 4th spot in the fan race. Again, the difference between Wednesday and Friday night, Wednesday nights are for drivers that are not registered to compete at the Stafford Motor Speedway in the real world for 2020 or in 2019. They didn't run any events with us last year. So we call it the fans night. These drivers here tonight are drivers that are registered to race at Stafford in 2020 or competed there last year. And it also includes the top 5 drivers from the fans night that automatically advance into tonight's program. Field off turn 4. Jeff, bring us down to the start of qualifying heat race number 1.
Right now, they take the green flag, crossing the line. They are dead even. They've got a bit of a gap back to row number 2, but everyone holding on. They make it through turns 1 and 2 clean. Cassandra Cole slips into 3rd. That is the last car that is out there. And single file, a little bit of trouble further back now. But Travis Hydar works his way into 4th. We got a battle for 5th, and that's going to be Pete Thickett coming out on top. But he's got Dan Wesson right behind, who gets right up to that bumper and nearly spins him. Trouble back further, but I think everyone got it sorted.
Battle for the lead, battle for 5th, and a battle for 3rd. A couple of pairs, 3 pairs in fact, running for position. Now that battle for 5th joins the battle for 4th, talking about Pete Thickett in the 5th spot. He's been able to break away from Dan Wesson, Kyle Johnson, Larry Westgate, and Mark Alkus, who are currently outside looking in. Things heating up at the top. Tyler Wood has had several looks to the inside of Mason Tessier for the race lead, but unable to make a move. Settles in the line in 2nd for now, and then just behind that battle is Cassandra Cole and Travis Hydar for 3rd and 4th. As we go on board with Tyler Wood up the back straightaway.
Keep an eye here, and this is the perspective that these drivers have. I love this camera because it shows he gets right up to that back bumper, but just because you're fast enough to catch someone in the middle of the corner and catch them in general doesn't mean you're fast enough to pass them. It's very difficult to work your way around here. We saw in the fan race what we just saw right there. You get all 4 tires on the apron and it wants to snap loose on exit. That's going to be a lesson you learn once because it's really easy to go around.
Cassandra Cole trying to gain some ground from 3rd, and Travis Hydar right there on her back bumper in 4th. And here's Tessier sliding up to the racetrack on board with Cassandra Cole off of turn number 2. And up the back straightaway, trying to fend off Travis Hydar, and in turn, trying to catch the lead duo of Mason Tessier and Tyler Wood. We get a good look at Hydar going to her inside for 3rd as the battle for the lead tightens up a little bit more. Change for 3rd, Hydar to 3rd, Cole back to 4th as Tessier continues the lead. And now pull away, Jeff.
That was a power move that Travis Hydar just pulled, and he almost got a shot to the back bumper for it from Cassandra Cole. So Hydar with a really strong move right there to get into 3rd place. But like you said, Mason Tessier now starting to pull away. He got a little bit of relief from that pressure from Tyler Wood. Now he's able to just hit his marks, not have to worry about what's in his rearview mirror. He's got 2 laps to go at the line, and he's got this heat race won. Let's see what he can do.
And the battle for 5th is non-existent. All 5 drivers comfortably in tonight's feature event. Pete Thickett being on the bubble right now, but has...
Hydar on the wall.
Travis Hydar tagged the outside wall, but hangs on to the 3rd spot. Cole remains in 4th, and that allowed Pete Thicket to close in 5th as those two cars lost momentum. Final lap, battle for the lead in turn 2 for the final time here in this opening qualifying heat race. Mason Tessier, Tyler Wood racing into turn 3.
Coming to the line, I don't think it's going to be enough for Tyler Wood, and he doesn't need to do anything crazy here. They've got their spots in the feature. Mason Tessier wins it, Tyler Wood in 2nd. Travis Hydar finishes in 3rd, Cassandra Cole in 4th, and Pete Thicket rounds out the top 5. They'll all advance. That leaves Kyle Johnson, Larry Westgate, Dan Wesson, and Mark Alkus having to race their way in to the feature event through the Consi.
Qualifying heat race number 1 in the books, clean and green, hoping for a little bit of that in qualifying heat race number 2, which is currently gridding on the front straightaway. Mike Christopher Jr. on the pole, no surprise there, quick in practice and in qualifying, and Leo will lead him to green over Matt Vassar. Then it's Justin Williams and Aaron Plemons, another one of the drivers to transfer in from Wednesday night. Matt Swanson driving one of the 2 Old Blues, along with Robbie Canile, the race winner from Wednesday night's fan event, leading all 80 laps. Those are the front 3 rows. Further back, we have Dan Butler and Sal Accardi in row number 4. Devin Jensick rounding out the 9 car starting field as they work away for their first pace lap. Hopefully you've been able to, you're watching this event on Stafford's YouTube channel. Hopefully you've been able to watch some of the other great uploads that Stafford has had in recent weeks. We've talked a lot about the Bottom Shop podcast, featuring interviews with Ryan Priest, Mike Christopher Sr., Rick Fuller, Jerry Pearl, Doug Kobe, Woody Pitcat, Lisa Aru, a whole bunch more. I believe we're 10 episodes deep into the Bottom Shop. But before we go green here, how about that classic race that was posted this week, Jeff? The 1984 Spring Sizzler from Stafford. I'm not sure if you've been able to watch it yet. I know you've been busy online here, but some great racing from yesteryear on Stafford's YouTube page.
It is on my to-do list. I'm setting time aside just to watch it. But right now, we've got this race up at the front. The Slim Reaper on the outside of Mike Christopher Jr. They're coming to the line. Green flags in the air. A bit of a jump, but oh, they're spinning further back. No caution flag yet. There it is. Oh, there goes the number 3 of Matt Swanson. But I don't think it's going to be too bad for him here. The car just spun around, and all that means is he'll have to catch up and start from the back of the field.
We talked about it on Wednesday night. Let's first take a look at a replay here as they get the field lined back up. And it looks like he might have had some help there. Was that Dan Butler behind Matt coming to green?
Yeah, I think there was just a disconnect there, and Dan Butler got a shot from behind him. So Butler went up, tapped the back bumper, thinking that the front had gone because the green flag had waved, and, you know, Mike Christopher Jr. didn't really go. Getting the car up to speed, might have been in 2nd or something, I'm not really sure. So Dan Butler got into the back of Matt Swanson, and then he backed off, and then he got a shot from the back, which sandwiched him into Swanson again, and that's what sent him around.
So a chain reaction is
exactly
an easy way to describe that sends Swanson spinning, and he will now restart this event in 9th. We should mention caution laps will count in all events tonight, including the heat races, the last chance race, and the 80-lap feature event, which is why we're about to complete lap number 3 here. You mentioned that there might not be a lot of damage to Matt Swanson. If there is, we talk about quick repairs in some of the other leagues that have been on, say, Fox earlier this year involving the National Series of NASCAR. No quick repairs tonight. Is that right, Jeff?
Correct. There are no fast repairs tonight. The most common damage that you'll see to the modifieds is either a blown engine, which is 38 minutes of required repairs, and obviously you can't really drive on it, and that will take you out of the race. But also, one thing that a lot of drivers don't realize is that you can knock the toe out of these cars, and the toe is essentially where the wheel is pointed up at the front. If you knock that out of place, the car just will not turn in a 10-acre field. So you have to be very careful, and if you knock the toe out, it's 9 minutes of repair here on iRacing. It's required, so when you come down pit road, you're going to be stuck there for a while, so you better make sure you take care of your car.
And 9 minutes of repair time will simply put you out of any event, whether it be the heat race, the LCQ, or the feature event, as contending for the win anyway. I mean, you could still get back out there and run laps just for some track time, but obviously you won't be a contender on pit road, sitting on pit road for that length of time, much like in the real world. Take two on qualifying heat race number 2. Matt Vassar, Mike Christopher Jr. lead the field to turn number 1. They fan out behind him 2 and 3 wide as Vassar trying to waste a little time coming up through the field, and it looked like somebody else might have tagged the outside wall there off turn 2.
Maybe so, but when that caution flew, something we didn't mention is that Matt Vassar was scored as the leader. He had the nose ahead of Mike Christopher Jr., so now he has the lead here. He had the inside on that restart. Let's see what he's able to do. This is the first time he's been out front and can show what he can do in clean air. He's consistently fast in practice and qualifying. He's just never really had the opportunity to show it. A win here in a heat race would be awesome for his chances tonight. He's had a lot of bad luck, and I think he's ready to run near the front with these guys. He's definitely got the talent, but Mike Christopher Jr., he wants to win this heat race for sure.
On board now at the battle for the lead. Vassar back to Christopher as they make their way through turn number 4. Already 3 laps to go in this event. Keeping an eye on Matt Swanson right now, 1 spot outside of the bubble. Remember, he spun coming to green on the front straightaway. Restarted this event in 9th, and he is several car lengths, about half a second or so behind.
Dan Butler goes around in turn 3 and saves it. What a save. Wow. That car was pointed to the inside wall.
Into the final lap, or approaching the final lap here shortly. Again, Matt Swanson outside looking in right now. Justin Williams on the bubble running in 5th as we watch the top 3 battle for the lead. Matt Vassar, Mike Christopher Jr., and Aaron Clemens off turn 4. White flag, 1 lap to go. Robbie Keneally is in 4th, running unchallenged. Justin Williams is 5th, and here comes Matt Swanson closing in to within a car length, and now there's problems.
There goes Mike Christopher Jr. He got all out of shape there, but Hummel hot dogs for everybody as Matt Vassar wins this heat race. Coming in second now is going to be Aaron Clemens. Mike Christopher Jr. in 3rd manages to hold on to it. Robbie Keneally in 4th, and Justin Williams rounds out the top 5. That leaves Matt Swanson, Devin Jensick, Sal Accardi, and Dan Butler to have to race their way in here in the Consi.
That'll be coming up here shortly, so Vassar will win qualifying heat number 2. Heat race number 3, gridding up now on the front straightaway. Andrew Moeller finds himself on the pole after a good qualifying effort a little bit ago over Ryan Libby, who again had a good run in our Wednesday night fan program. Then it's Jonathan Pulio to the inside of row number 2, along with the winner the last time we ran the Tour Type Modifieds back in mid-May, Brian Narducci. Teddy Hodgson, the last time we ran a modified at all a couple of weeks ago, the SK Modifieds, he picked up the checkered flag over Justin Bren. Then it's RJ Serdell and Alina Bryden. They will make up the 8 starters in this event. Tapley Jr. listed, but we know that is Dylan Kopech, and he is listed because he is logged into the session as our race director here this evening. And, well, he's been busy the last 2 months or so, 3 months almost, on Friday nights in that position.
That he has, and I was hoping on the last night maybe he would register as a spectator, but no such luck. Consistency is key. So now, Tapley Jr., Dylan Kopech, everybody, driver of the M6 Modified in the real world and handling all of our race control here. Thank you, huge thank you to him for all of his hard work. Not only does he have to deal with us behind the scenes, he has to deal with all the drivers as well. And frankly, that is quite difficult to put up with. Andrew Muller did not take the grid. Andrew Muller is not connected into the session. His internet has gone out. So he will not be starting on the pole here. That's Jonathan Pulio. Bumps himself up from 3rd to 1st on the inside line. Now he will lead the way.
So that leaves us with 7 starters for 5 spots here in this 3rd qualifying event as they make their way around the racetrack. 1 to go. We'll go green next time. Also want to give a big thanks. You mentioned Kopech a moment ago as our race director. Big thanks to the Arut family. Paul, I know, has done a lot of the legwork in putting this program together over the course of the last almost 10 weeks now. This first event on iRacing happened back on March 27th. So March seems like forever ago with the way things have been going. So thanks to the Arut family for bringing the community, the Stafford community together on these Friday nights when we can't be at the racetrack in the real world. Off turn 4, green flag, we're underway. Jonathan Pulio, Ryan Libby lead the field now to turn 1.
The wrecking Justin Bren is halfway around in turn number 1, but we're keeping it green now. He managed to save it, almost had a trip through Green Acres. That allows the top 4 to pull away here. Now battle for 5th is going to be pretty interesting. I think RJ Serdell has it at the moment, but there's a huge disconnect between the top 4 and the rest of the field. It's a 3-way battle there. Justin Bren almost sends RJ Serdell in turn 1. Serdell has the spot. That's a battle for 5th.
And there was one driver that would be okay if that happened. That's Alina Bryden, who is right there, the last car in line in 7th in that 3-car pack from 5th on back. As we look at the battle for 4th, Ryan Libby, Teddy Hodgson getting at it for that position. They're side by side. Libby goes to the inside, takes 3rd spot away from Teddy. Last year's SK Light Modified champion in the real world will move up to the SK Modified. So we get going here in 2020 and has been one of the hot shoes here on iRacing, winning on opening night on March 27th, winning 2 weeks ago as well in the SK Modified, running 4th right now as they make their way already almost halfway through this 3rd qualifying event, led by Jonathan Pulio.
Trouble further back. Alina Bryden and RJ Serdell get together, but it's going to stay green here. That was a battle for 6th place. Alina Bryden just got in there a little bit too hard on the bottom shot move and came up. She's got Wade Gagner as her spotter here tonight, so a lot of these drivers run their own spotters. She's having, right now, a pretty good night. She's 1 spot out of the transfer, so she should be able to race her way in through the Consi if some things go well here for her. But let's see what ends up happening up towards the front. Libby is in trouble, though. He's barely holding on there. Let's ride along with Teddy Hodgson. He's got just about a car length to Ryan Libby ahead of him.
That's the battle for 3rd. You mentioned Wade Gagner a moment ago. He oversees all the operations on Monday nights, part of the Wild Thing kart program at Stafford Motor Speedway, a program that Alina drove in for a number of years before moving into the modified a couple of years ago. And right now, Alina back up to the 6th spot as that tussle continues with RJ Serdell further back. Unfortunately for Alina, she is 1 spot behind Justin Bren, who holds the transfers. We watch the battle for the lead. Coming to 2 to go, Brian Narducci all over the back bumper of Jonathan Pulio. 2 to go as they race to turn 1.
Last week he ran a Dale Earnhardt senior paint scheme, and we talked about how seeing him in your rearview mirror might be a little intimidating. We know Brian Narducci is a very aggressive driver. He'll put the car in there where some people might not, but he's always smart about it. So now he's got the run here. Let's see what he can do. The white flag lap. Pulio blocks hard low. Narducci sees the door open. They're going to be side by side down the backstretch. Narducci to the inside, almost coming together. Some very aggressive moves right there. Narducci has the lead, but here comes Pulio in the grass. They're holding on. Pulio's going to win it.
Sends him up the racetrack off of turn number 4, and Pulio picks up the race win, and there's a little post-race contact as Pulio and Narducci don't totally agree with what happened in the last lap there. Ryan Libby will finish in 3rd, Teddy Hodgson 4th, Justin Bren 5th, Alina Bryden and RJ Serdell, the 2 drivers that did not transfer into the feature through the qualifying heat race. They will go to the consolation event, which is about to line up on the racetrack. We are already Consi time here, Jeff. 12, make that 11 drivers looking for, trying to do the math here. 9 spots? Is that right?
Yeah. So, hang on. Hold the phone.
Do the math. We'll take a look at this.
Because Dylan Kopech has registered as a driver, there are 12 drivers in this event. However, he's not driving in it. So there's 11 in this event, and 11 are going to advance to round out the field. So everyone here is going to advance tonight.
Bit of extra track time. Let's take a look at the starting lineup. Kyle Johnson and Matt Swanson will make up the front row. Alina Bryden and Larry Westgate in row number 2. Devin Jensick and RJ Serdell in row number 3. And then further back, you have Dan Wesson, Sal Liccardi, Andrew Moeller, who is yet to show on the grid, Mark Alkis, and Dan Butler, the 11 drivers scheduled to take the green flag here in this qualifying event, or this last chance race.
They've already had some contact right there. You saw it on the...
Yeah.
Well...
Just pulling away from the grid.
They're excited. These drivers are very excited right now to get out on track, and can you blame them? Right now, like you said, Alina Bryden going to have a really good starting spot here in 3rd place. Everyone's going to advance. This is just determining the order for the last 11 spots in the field, and you may not think it matters whether you start 25th, 26th, or 10th, or I'm sorry, that would be 15th, 14th, 15th or so. You may not think it matters. That is a huge, huge difference there in starting spots. If you don't have to pass those extra 10, 11 cars, it makes your night a whole lot easier if you're going to work your way up through the field. So I think we're going to see some good battling here.
And we'll talk about once we get into the 80-lap main event here shortly, and in the warm-up that'll happen before, about having to manage your car for 80 laps. It'll be a lot easier for the drivers, no doubt, at the front of the field than these drivers that we're going to see on the racetrack now that will be at least starting from the 16th spot, filling those spots on the grid from 16th on back. Still no Andrew Moeller, so we'll go with 10 drivers led by Kyle Johnson, Matt Swanson on the front row. Then it's Alina Bryden and Larry Westgate as the field comes off of turn number 4, looking for the green flag. 10 laps the distance here in the LCQ. We are underway, and it's Swanson that got the jump initially, but here comes Johnson to the inside in turn 2.
Johnson to the inside now, turn number 2. They're 3 wide for third, but the 23 of Devin Jensick's better of it. That's Alina Bryden would have been the meat in that sandwich there. Now she's going to come out with third. Jensick gets loose and a little bit of trouble further back. Everybody's really fighting for position, but Alina Bryden goes around, gets tagged there by the 3 car, and the 87 piles in. Looks like it's going to stay green. No, caution flag is out.
Looked like Dan Butler, one of the first cars to get out of shape further back, got into the grass, and then Alina Bryden went around. We have one car smoking toward the rear of the field as we'll take a look at the replay. Started in turn number 3 and wrapped up over in turn number 2. Let's take a look at it. Tell us what you see, Jeff.
Well, you saw there in turn 3, yeah, that was just, she just got driven into there. Nothing really she could have done. I think what was throwing a lot of other drivers off is when she got into turn 3, she got really hard on the brakes all of a sudden, and then sort of did all of her slowing down right at the entry of the turn versus spreading it out from corner entry all the way to the middle. And that's not, I'm not saying that's a lack of talent by any means, but on iRacing, it's a lot more important to be just very smooth and very consistent, because if you touch your brake pedal here, it's a lot more responsive than in real life, and I think that's just an adaptation a lot of these drivers have to make. She's pretty new to the service, so one of those things, and that's what sort of got everyone out of shape in turn number 3 there, and then going into turn 1, yeah, just right in there. Matt Swanson sort of drove it in, and I'm sorry, that wasn't Matt Swanson, that was Larry Westgate. We have too many old blues out here. I can't tell them apart.
And of course, they all find themselves in the same event, and for the most part together. We have Matt Swanson toward the front of the field. In fact, he is at the front. Then Larry Westgate there you see on screen coming under the start-finish line now, running in position number 8. Everybody involved still on the lead lap. Not sure how long that's going to last, though, because there's a whole lot of smoke coming from the RJ Serdell car, who was involved in that incident with Alina Bryden as well. So we'll watch RJ, see if he just stays out there. Now, you don't have to pit, right? There was a time where you had to make a stop, but he can stay out and limp that car around for the final, what will probably be only 3 green flag laps.
Technically speaking, yeah, he can stay out and be able to finish this race. I do want to say, in my defense for having those 2 cars screwed up, Race Control did the exact same thing and black flagged Matt Swanson, thinking that it was him that got into there. So now he's going to be going to the back, because once you assign that penalty, it can't be cleared, even though it was done by accident. So it's not just me. Dylan Kopech made the same mistake too.
Wow, so that changes things, especially since Swanson's only going to have maybe 2 or 3 laps to try to get back to the front of the field. And the bummer is Swanson drives the car in real life, but I guess Larry owns it, so they're both old blue. Yeah, that's going to be a bummer, although Swanson has not given up the race lead as of yet. So we'll see if he restarts there. If the field got the one to go signal.
So now
I don't know how that works.
What's going to happen here is Matt Swanson, per Race Control, is going to stay at the front because he shouldn't be at the end of the line. He didn't do anything wrong. Right. And they're going to clear any penalties that come with it. It may black flag the entire field. There's some talk about that. I don't think that will happen.
That'll
so
be
right now, yeah, we'll have to see. Now he gets a really great jump there, and Devin Jensick with a great jump there on the inside, working his way around Kyle Johnson. And now to the inside of Kyle Johnson is Sal Accardi with a great run there. They're lining up for the top 4.
And so far, the field has not been black flagged. However, we have seen that in the real world as well. on some Friday nights when they just can't get it together. As they race off of turn number 2, 2 laps to go, be a lap and a half to run. Serdell is on pit road. We half expected that as Swanson leads off of turn 4. It'll be the white flag. Devin Jensick in second. We see there leading a 3-car battle for the second spot. Kyle Johnson, Salacardi running third and fourth. Half a lap away from the checker, and Old Blue going to pick up the race win of Matt Swanson.
Old Blue is going to win it here, actually kind of at a really good advantage. He had half a second over Devin Jensick. Doesn't sound like much, 0.6 seconds over Devin Jensick. Doesn't sound like much for just a couple laps. That's pretty impressive. So keep an eye on that here. He might be able to work his way through the field during the course of this race. But now we have the feature all lined up. We've got everyone here that's going to make it. So this is going to be a really interesting race, I think.
Everybody racing here tonight, going to run in the feature event. Taking a look at the results there, Matt Swanson over Devin Jensick, Kyle Johnson, Salacardi, and Dan Wesson, Mark Alkis, Dan Butler, Larry Westgate, Alina Bryden, and RJ Serdell. The 10 finishers. Andrew Moeller did not start the event. Will finish in 11th and will make up the tail of the field if he starts in the 80-lap Tour Type Modified feature event coming up in a little bit. Brought to you by All Phases Renovations. Again, a proud sponsor of this online program over the course of the last couple of months. They jumped on board just a week or two into the program back in April. They are providing the purse here tonight at $250. The race winner will get $150. Second place, $75. And third place will take home $25. They are located in southeastern Massachusetts. You get a look at some of their work on the screen a moment ago. Give Larry a call, just not right now because he is racing here tonight in Old Blue number 2. But if you have any outdoor construction needs like patios, pool renovations, outdoor patios or outdoor bars and kitchens, decks, visit their Facebook page and call them at 508-332-6316 for more information. Check them out on Facebook. And you mentioned earlier, Larry, the owner of Matt Swanson's Tri-Track car. They both found themselves in the same event in the LCQ a few moments ago. A lot of folks watching here tonight. Our final night of this iRacing program for Stafford Motor Speedway, the virtual Stafford Motor Speedway. And we look forward to getting back on track in the real world shortly as the restrictions will be lifted a little bit more this coming week here in Connecticut for the COVID-19 shutdown. Been in phase 1 now for a couple of weeks, phase 2 coming up, and hopefully we'll know more about a future schedule this summer at the Stafford Speedway. Stay up to speed with all of that upcoming news at Stafford Motor Speedway, StaffordSpeedway.com, and through the track's social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and more. All right, we did this on Wednesday night with the fans, Jeff. About managing a car, managing that right front tire over the course of 80 laps, because the tires you start on are the tires you have to finish on. We also should mention the track temperature may change a bit, and probably already has from the start of the race program about 40 some odd minutes ago. Currently 77 degrees air temp, 88 degrees track temp. How do you manage one of these cars for 80 laps? Hopefully a lot of green laps here coming up in a few minutes.
88 degrees sounds like a pretty hot track out there, but honestly, it's not that bad. That's a pretty cool track temp compared to what a lot of these guys are used to running out here. We've seen it a lot higher, up in the hundreds, 110s even at some points. So the lower the track temp, the more grip you have, and the less your tires are going to wear out because you're not sliding around as much. So I think that's really good for these drivers up front, but not so good for the drivers that are a bit further back. Makes it all that more difficult because they're losing that advantage of hoping the guys ahead of them use up their tires and don't have much left to drive on. It's going to be a very interesting race here. Like I mentioned earlier, it's a loose setup. These drivers are going to have to wheel it hard and make sure that they are on top of their game and just be smart. That's the biggest thing. Be smart, take care of your car, and don't get involved in any incidents you don't have to get involved in.
You're watching the final moments of the final 5-minute warm-up session. Ryan Libby is the fastest thus far over Matt Swanson. It'll be fun to watch him come up through the field. Teddy Hodgson, Dan Wesson, Tyler Wood, the top 5. Robbie Keneally now moving into the top 5. Something else that's unique and that was unaware of when we started in March is these tracks, much like in the real world, also take rubber, so the groove could potentially change over the course of the event as we see more and more rubber laid down on the racetrack.
The more rubber, the better, I say. It makes the track a little more difficult to drive at times, so it all depends on your driving style. There's some people that hate more rubber on the track. It all depends how you're planning to approach this race. But starting on the pole, Mason Tessier here tonight. Now, if that name sounds familiar, you're an iRacer and that name sounds familiar, he is one of the best late model racers that I've ever seen on here, and one of the best on the service. He's continuously fighting with some of the best drivers out there, so he's very, very skilled in a late model. The skills that carry over, it's not going to handle exactly the same a modified compared to a late model, but what it will do is help him because he's really familiar with these short tracks and the mindset you have to have, taking care of your stuff and being smart over the course of a long run.
Ryan Libby, fastest in the practice session that has just wrapped up, and we are set to grid the cars. 80 laps, our final feature event for this iRacing Stafford Motor Speedway Series, sponsored by All Phases Renovations. You mentioned it a moment ago, Mason Tessier starting on the pole. Matt Vassar will start alongside in second. Jonathan Pulio and Tyler Wood will make up row number 2. Aaron Plemons and Brian Narducci, who won the last Tour Type modified race we ran back in May, will start in the 6th spot.
Starting in 7th place is going to be Travis Hydar. Mike Christopher Jr. starts 8th. Ryan Libby in 9th. Cassandra Cole rounds out the top 10. Robbie Keneally won the fan race on Wednesday, starting all the way back in 11th. Let's see how he's able to work his way up through the field. Teddy Hodgson, another big name starting further back, is in 12th. Pete Thickett is in 13th. Justin Williams 14th. Justin Bren in 15th.
Then we get back to the drivers that had to come through the LCQ, including Matt Swanson in 16th, Devin Jensick in 17th, Kyle Johnson in 18th. Then we're back to row 10 with Sal Accardi and Dan Wesson. Row 11, Mark Alkus and Dan Butler, Larry Westgate and Alina Bryden in the 24th spot. RJ Serdell, who had that engine issue in the LCQ, that is repaired. Fresh engine here for the feature. And then Andrew Moeller, who is scheduled to start 26th. However, he is not taken to the grid. So we're going to go with 25 cars, 80 laps for the Tour Type Modifieds, 77 degrees. The temperature, a nice light wind speed of 2 miles per hour, and a track temp of 86 degrees. As you mentioned, fairly cool here at the virtual Stafford Motor Speedway as we are set for the green. Drivers lined up, ready to go for the final time. A series that started way back in March. Going to conclude here tonight, and you know, they all want the bragging rights of that checkered flag as they come off of turn 4. Green flag is out. Mason Tessier and Matt Vassar gets the jump in the outside lane as they race to turn 1.
Matt Vassar, we haven't seen him running up front, just hasn't had the opportunity before. Now having himself a great night so far. You saw Aaron Plemons a little further back. Dive bomb Brian Narducci. That's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how that plays out over the course of this race.
Tuck back in the line for Brian Narducci in the outside lane. Right now just inside of the top, make that outside of the top 5, running in the 6th spot as they race back to the corner. Top 4 cars make it 5, all in the bottom now. Mason Tessier, Matt Vassar, John Pulio, Tyler Wood, Aaron Plemons make up the top 5 as they go back to the corner. One car way up the racetrack behind him in turn 2. It looks like might have been Brian.
We'll have to see how that ends up playing out. If that was Brian Narducci back there, that's going to really hurt. Right now, a couple of big-name drivers are a bit further back. Mike Christopher Jr., Brian Narducci, Travis Hydar, all outside of the top 10. Now it's a side-by-side battle for 7th. Travis Hydar on the outside, Brian Narducci on the inside. That's really the only battle going on. A little bit further back, though, RJ Serdell making the outside work. He's got Sal Accardi to the inside. But now let's stick with this battle here. Travis Hydar still holding on the outside, but it's getting a little bit tougher. Now you see the 46 of Ryan Libby to his inside. Travis Hydar needs to get himself clear, but wrecking further back there.
Racing off of turn number 4, Libby to the bottom. Caution will come out as Narducci leads that battle back to the front straightaway as we are working lap number 6. First caution flag of the event It might have been with Justin Bren, who is currently 25th and is yet to post a time for the latest lap here on lap number 6. So running just behind Cassandra Cole, Justin Bren, Cole out of shape.
Yeah, she got loose ahead of him and tried to catch it off the corner. It's like we talked about earlier, Salicardi involved. Wow. Man, oh man. Taking a look here with Cassandra Cole, you take note that she has all 4 tires on the apron here on exit, and that's when you get loose. The car just wants to snap around. You think you have the grip, but all of a sudden it snaps loose when all 4 tires get on the apron there on the exit of 2. We've seen it a few times here over the past couple days.
Nice save for Cassandra, but unfortunately a couple of other cars collected behind her. Justin Williams on pit road, Salicardi on pit road, Mark Alkis on pit road, and Justin Bren, who it looked like had the most severe damage in that incident. The first driver to get into contact with Cassandra when she got out of shape, currently 1 lap down in the 25th spot. Alkis now, it looks like, has retired from the event. Justin Williams, Accardi, and Bren continue to work on their cars on the pit lane. So we've got about 5 green flag laps in before the first caution flag. Mason Tessier has led all the laps thus far over Matt Vassar. Julio is 3rd. Then it's Tyler Wood 4th. Aaron Plemons rounding out the top 5. We'll go further back in the running order with Mike Christopher Jr., Brian Narducci, Ryan Libby, Travis Haidar, and Teddy Hodgson. And how about Matt Swanson? Started outside of the top 15 as the winner of the LCQ. Put him in the 16th starting spot, and he is up to 12th. So gaining a little bit of ground here in those opening laps.
There's a lot of drivers that are starting to work their way up through the field, up about 4 or 5 spots. May not sound like much, but over the course of 9 laps so far, with a few of those under caution, definitely a sign of things to come. Dan Wesson is up 5 spots. Kyle Johnson is up 2 spots. Dan Butler up 5 spots as well, from 22nd to 17th. 25th to 19th is RJ Serdell. So taking advantage of the caution ahead of them, yes, but definitely still a lot of talent in those drivers back there. We're looking to work their way up towards the front, but the green flag is getting ready to wave.
Salicardi and Justin Bren still on pit road as we go back under the green flag, led by Mason Tessier, who leads the field into turn number 1 over Matt Vassar. Then the battle for 3rd, nearly contact there between Wood and Pulio.
Very close there, and they are still close. Pulio almost gets into Vassar ahead of him. He's driving that car, trying to get clear of Tyler Wood. Now he's got it. Aaron Plemons to the inside of Wood, but Wood battles back on the outside. He's not going to be able to hold on to it. Plemons is now going to get clear.
Plemons will get clear for position number 4. Pulio to 3rd, Plemons 4th, Tyler Wood now in 5th, and has a battle behind him as they are stacked up around him, with Brian Narducci, Mike Christopher Jr., and Ryan Libby trying to join that pack as well as they race off of turn 2. Tessier beginning to check out ever so slowly at the front of the field.
Having himself a great run so far. We know he's a very, very strong short track driver like we talked about earlier. Now that last lap, an 18.470 for Matt Vassar, an 18.482 for Mason Tessier. Pulling in a tiny bit. Reeling in, but Matt Vassar has bigger problems, and Jonathan Pulio behind him. Pulio is really putting up a fight, trying to take that 2nd spot away. Let's ride along with him.
Pulio having a much better night now than he had in practice about an hour ago. He was struggling, and all the other drivers took note as we go under caution for the 2nd time in this event for an incident that may have involved Matt Swanson toward the rear of the field. It did, off of turn number 4. He's on the mini mile.
Yeah, that was ahead of Swanson. That was up around, let's see, that's Tyler Wood. Mike Christopher Jr. involved as well. Mike Christopher Jr. got into Tyler Wood on corner entry there. Wood got sideways and then just nowhere for anybody to go. We can get a camera view of Dan Butler. Barely got through there, all clean. Took it through the grass to make sure he didn't get any damage to that car. Taking care of his equipment.
Ryan Libby involved, and Cassandra Cole gets hit just as she was about to make a move to the outside, and then RJ Serdell had nowhere to go. It looked like Lena Bryden might have got some minor damage as we go on board with Butler off of turn 4. Get a look at what he saw in that mess, and he just went to the grass and missed it all. Sometimes the easiest thing to do, take a left, mow the grass, and miss the wreck all in the process.
Wow. That's how fast it happens here. There's really almost no time to react. There's very limited visibility inside of these modifieds. On the right side, you've got the massive engine right in front. You can't see anything there. And on the left side, it's kind of hard to see. You've got the post right there on the side of the windshield. You have to be very vigilant in these cars. Dan Butler saw trouble ahead, knew, hey, I can take this thing through the grass. It'll bounce around, but I'll be fine. Barely manages to avoid everything, but some great heads-up driving there. And I'll tell you what, he's also the night's biggest mover. He's up from 22nd all the way to 13th now.
Talking about Dan Butler, keeping an eye on Tyler Wood, last week's super late model winner, transferred in through Wednesday night's Horton Group fan event. Currently now 4 laps down after some damage there in the 22nd spot. Cassandra Cole, who was involved in the incident, remains on the lead lap. Ryan Libby, who was involved in the accident, also on the lead lap. So 21 lead lap cars. Tyler Wood, the only driver on the racetrack a lap down, 4 down. In fact, I spoke there. Justin Brennan is also on the racetrack, or still on pit road, but still in the event, 12 laps down. Everybody else still on the lead lap. That'll give us 21 lead lap cars as we continue to sort the field out. Should get the one to go signal here shortly. Again, a big thank you to All Phases Renovations for continued support here through this event. Our final night of the iRacing program from the virtual Stafford Motor Speedway. $250 posting the award here tonight. In fact, they've posted that purse for much of this event or this series dating back to April. The race winner picking up $150, second place for $75, and third place $25 here this evening for our podium finishers as we are set for the restart here in a half a lap from now.
Half a lap till we take that green flag, and up at the front, it's still Mason Tessier with Matt Vassar on his outside. He and Pulio were battling. Let's see what ends up working out here. Pulio does not get the jumping leads, though. Mason Tessier took off really early. Matt Vassar, though, had his head on a swivel. He slides into second place. Now Pulio is side by side for third place, holding on, and he's got it, but Clemens dives it to the bottom. Pulio blocks, takes a shot to the back bumper for it. Man, that was close. There's a wreck further back, but Clemens now going to work on Jonathan Pulio.
A couple cars came together further back, but we'll keep it under green from now. It might be Robbie Keneally involved in that incident. Cassandra Cole might have been involved as well. As we continue under the green flag, Mason Tessier, the leader, on board with Aaron Clemens, running in position number 4 right now, trying to chase down Jonathan Pulio, who's about a car length in front of him, in position number 3. Pulio in third, Clemens in fourth, Matt Vassar, that blue car, 2 cars up, slides up just a bit, running in the second spot. As you get a look at some of the current lap time for Clemens, his previous lap of an 18.5, looking to beat that here, and does. Runs an 18.371 as they get singled out at the bottom of the racetrack at the front of the field. Now he has his hands full, really sawing at the wheel off of turn 2, Jeff.
Man, a lot of these drivers are really working the wheel hard, and I don't know how that's going to treat the tires. A lot of the time you want to be very careful here, and the more you saw at the wheel, the more it wears them down. But if you're quick, then you're quick. And right now we're over a quarter of the way through this race. Lap 24 at the moment of 80. Out front is still Mason Tessier. Matt Vassar sits in second. Jonathan Pulio about a car length, maybe 2 car lengths behind Vassar. He's really diving in hard on corner entry, but Vassar's pulling away on corner exit a lot of the time. So keep an eye on that battle. Pulio looks low. He's got the spot. He turns Vassar, though. Vassar around in turn number 3. He's facing the wrong way. Caution's out. Manages not to get hit.
I started with Pulio going to the inside. The 2 made contact, got into Vassar in that 11 car, and Vassar will pull away as we get a look at the replay. Here in about half a lap is where the incident will take place, just behind the race leader of Mason Tessier. They race their way up the back straightaway. Here's Pulio, dive bomb shot to the inside, and contact was made, and around goes Vassar off of turn 4.
A pretty quick ruling coming down from Scott Tapley Jr., a.k.a. Dylan Kopech. Immediately afterwards, Jonathan Pulio is given an end-of-the-line penalty. Basically, it's a slap on the wrist for these drivers. You go to the back of the line. You don't get penalized. You don't get put down laps or anything, but you have to wait and let everyone by and start from the back.
And the back right now will be the 21st spot for Puglia. We should mention that Matt Swanson, who had climbed to about the 10th spot after starting 16th, is on pit road. Not sure if he suffered damage in that contact. Jonathan Pulio on pit road as well. Robbie Keneally and Tyler Wood still on pit road, working on that car now for 14 laps. He is 14 laps behind the leader. Justin Brenn also still in the event, but 25 laps down. We have only completed 28 laps in this 80-lap feature event. Third caution is out. Mason Tessier has led all the laps thus far over Aaron Clemens. Brian Narducci up the third. Mike Christopher Jr. fourth. Travis Haidar rounding out the top five. And it's early, Jeff, and we've run a lot of these laps under caution, but does Mike have anything for Mason Tessier, who's led all the laps thus far? Because those two, not only are they really good in real life, but they, like you mentioned earlier, pretty good on this iRacing server.
They definitely might have something for him, but there's a lot of drivers that are really working their way up through the field. You see Brian Narducci, Mike Christopher Jr., they started Brian Narducci in 6th. He's up to 3rd. Mike Christopher Jr. from 8th to 4th. But right now, a lot of these drivers further back, Pete Thickett from 13th to 7th, Kyle Johnson 18th to 8th, Dan Butler 22nd to 9th, Devin Jensick 17th to 10th. A lot of drivers really working their way up through the field, and that says a whole lot, that you're not only keeping pace with the leaders, but you're gaining ground and really passing a lot of cars. Yeah, that's a very impressive stat. Keep an eye on some of those drivers. Pretty much everyone from Pete Thickett all the way to Devin Jensick, that group of 4, they've really got a chance here to make something happen, I think.
And I wouldn't count out Teddy Hodgson, always strong in a modified here at Stafford. He is just ahead of that battle in position number 5 as we are set for the restart. Field beginning to double up in their rows of 2. Aaron Plemons, the leader, over make that Mason Tessier the leader over Aaron Plemons as they double up row number 2. Brian Narducci and Mike Christopher Jr., a couple of the early race favorites, lined up in that second row as the field comes off of turn number 4. Bit of a ragged start toward the front and it kind of accordions through the back, but everybody makes it to the flag and we race into turn number 1. Tessier out front, Plemons in second, Narducci and Christopher still side by side for third.
That's a great battle there between those two. Two of the best side by side. It doesn't get any better. Some really great racing up there. Devin Jensick gets into the wall, a little bit of trouble further back. All going to work itself out, though, as Narducci gets clear of Christopher. Christopher Jr. cuts down in front of Teddy Hodgson. Talk about 3 really talented drivers, 3 big names, 4 big names even, very talented drivers as well. Narducci, Mike Christopher Jr., Teddy Hodgson, and Travis Haidar, all back to back to back to back, chasing Aaron Clemens and Mason Tessier at the moment. But Tessier looking quick. He's got a 2/10 lead already.
Looking to string some green flag laps together here under what was a caution-filled first 25 or so laps as they race back to the line. Top 2 beginning to break away, Mason Tessier and Aaron Clemens, and then that battle from third on back among some of the best at the Stafford Motor Speedway in a modified. Brian Narducci has shown so strong in an SK Light modified over the years, moving up to the SKs. Mike Christopher Jr. Has a bunch of wins in the SK modifieds. Teddy Hodgson, last year's SK Light modified champion, running in position number 5. Travis Haidar going to move up to the modifieds. He's been so strong in the street stocks over the course of the last couple of seasons. So some of Stafford's best right now running in P3 through 6, but Jeff losing ground to Mason Tessier and Aaron Clemens.
That they are. Aaron Clemens got a little bit loose there on corner exit, had to hold on to the car. That lets Mason Tessier pull away by a little bit more and a little bit more. Right now, a half-second gap between Aaron Clemens and Brian Narducci as of the last lap. So now Narducci closing in a little bit as Clemens fell further back from the leader, got a bit loose. Narducci's starting to get a little bit of breathing room from Mike Christopher Jr. I wonder if he's saving his tires and making sure he's going to hold on to his equipment. Riding along with Brian Narducci, you're looking at one of the best here, folks, as he is working that wheel. Look at how smooth he is. Entering turn 1, gets the wheel pointed, holds it right there at about 9 o'clock, lets the throttle do the work, then gently eases out and works his way around the track, gaining more and more ground on Aaron Clemens. I think we're going to see a pass here in the next lap or 2.
Yeah, they were pulling away just a couple of laps ago, and suddenly Brian has reeled him in, and he's beginning to take Mike, Teddy, and Travis along for the ride, lined up right behind Narducci. from third on back as they make their way off of turn number 2. A little bit of a bobble there by Aaron Plemons off of turn number 2, and that allows Narducci a look to the inside. Will take that second spot away. You called it, Jeff. A lap ago. There's the change for second. Now we'll see how long it takes Narducci to close that half-second gap between himself and Mason Tessier in the battle for the lead.
Now, I think a battle for the lead might be out of the question as Mason Tessier is pulling further and further away. Brian Narducci has worked his way around Aaron Plemons. Next, Mike Christopher Jr. is going to set his sights on that 67 machine, but he's got Teddy Hodgson right behind him.
Hodgson in 5th, and the street stock regular, Travis Hydar in 6th. Pete Thickett is in 7th. Kyle Johnson 8th. Matt Vassar, Ryan Libby, and Dan Butler has moved up and into the top 10. Running, make that now Ryan Libby in 10th as they kind of swap those spots off of turn 4. The leaders are off of turn number 2. Tessier out front. One driver looking at a line. That's Aaron Plemons trying to protect the bottom, but looks like lost a little bit of momentum. Allowed Mike Christopher Jr. to close in from 4th. Teddy Hodgson in 5th as they go back to turn number 2 and already past halfway in this event. Working lap number 43 of 80 here in the All Phases Renovations 80-lapper for the Tour Type Modified as they come back to the stripe to complete another lap, and we have a battle for the lead, Jeff.
Battle for the lead is brewing. How about this? Brian Narducci, I mean, really, foot, meat, and mouth is what I have to say. Narducci has run down Mason Tessier. He's a man on a mission. Now, has he used up too much of his tires here to catch the leaders? Does he have enough left for the next half of the race? We'll have to find out, but Brian Narducci now within 2 car lengths of Mason Tessier. I think Mason Tessier might have looked up in his rearview mirror and said, oh, he's coming in quick, and he's starting to put a little bit of lead down on the gas pedal. Last lap for Narducci there was an 18.604 and 18.586 for Mason Tessier. Now, I've said this before, and I'm sure I'll say it again. Just because you're fast enough to catch someone doesn't mean you're fast enough to pass them. It's a whole different animal.
Keeping an eye on some of the drivers that are deeper in the field that started back there after running toward the front. Matt Swanson has not gained a whole lot of ground, running in 18th. Jonathan Julio, after his involvement in the last caution, is back up to the 15th position. So keep an eye on those drivers as we ride on board with Brian Narducci in position number 2. Bill, he's closing. It was a half second. Now it's down to 0.266 seconds. So about half the advantage that Tessier has now over Narducci from just a couple of laps ago. And lap traffic now might be a factor here just ahead of the race leaders. We have a car off the pace. Looks like Larry Westgate.
Larry Westgate is going to have to get out of the way. Race control, just let him know the leaders are coming. Be careful. Now you have to keep in mind, we're seeing Narducci, he just got into the wall right there, but when you're out here running, the time difference between them per lap is just a couple thousandths of a second. I don't think that's really enough power, as now Mason Tessier has to get on the brakes. Is he going to use Larry Westgate as a pick here and force Narducci to stay behind? He is, and now he's going to be clear once again. That was a close call. Tessier had to jump up to the outside, and Brian Narducci almost had enough room to take advantage. Narducci now coming to the inside. We might see a bold move here going into turn 3. A bump in 1. He sends him, and he's going to hold on to it. How about that? 3 wide for second place. Hodgson sticking his nose in. Mike Christopher Jr. on the bottom. They make it work. How about that for the highlight reel?
Wow, as they make their way, so much contact there off of turn number 2, and everybody keeps it straight. Tessier falls back to the 5th spot now as they race off of turn number 2. Brian Narducci, the leader. Now contact for seconds at Plemons and Mike Christopher Jr. in turn number 3. Plemons hangs on to it. Here comes Teddy Hodgson. Calm, cool, collected. Outside lane. Don't hear much from him until the end of the race, and that's where we're heading toward now with just working lap number 53. So it's at 25 or so laps
28
to go here. 28 laps to go as Hodgson goes to the outside of Plemons. All this now a half second behind Brian Narducci, the race leader, taking that top spot away. 2.5 laps to go.
in trouble. He gets turned around after having to check up for Aaron Plemons. I don't think we're going to see a caution here. It was a single car incident. Now Travis Hydar going to work on the back bumper of Mason Tessier. He could get sent around here. What intense racing, and Mike Christopher Jr. catches the short end of the stick there. He's going to be way far back, no caution.
No caution. He falls to the 15th position right now, about 5 seconds behind race leader Brian Narducci. Tough break for Mike Christopher Jr., who running so well, challenging for the win, will fall short here tonight with 25 laps to run here in tonight's main event. 80 laps of distance for the Tour Type Modifieds. Teddy Hodgson, here he comes. At number 55, closing in on Brian Narducci. Could be, or has been, an on-track real-world rivalry of sorts, running for the championship the last couple of years, these two drivers. With Teddy picking up the title last season. Now it might be turning into an online battle here as they have duked it out the last 9 or 10 Friday nights when they ran modifieds, including just a couple of weeks ago in a Tour Type Modified. Could be at it again here tonight as they race to the lead. Looks like Alina Bryden might have an issue further back on the front straightaway.
She does, but it's going to stay green as well there. She's off track. Right now, Teddy Hodgson, he's what, 6'3", 6'4"?
He
I
is.
think being that much taller, he has a little bit more patience in his body. He has just been really taking care of his stuff. He was about a 10th quicker than Brian Narducci, but now a caution flies.
Looks like Justin Williams involved in the incident, as we'll get a look at replay. Mike Christopher Jr. to the inside, and they were avoiding another car that was sitting sideways on the racetrack. So a tough break for Williams and Christopher. We'll try to identify.
The 25 car, Pete Thickett, got sideways and was stopped there. And he got hit by Mike Christopher Jr.
Right. Got to look at the overhead as you saw Alina Bryden off the pace at the bottom of turn number 1. She is not the reason for the yellow. The reason for the yellow is here in turn number 3.
Ryan Libby got into Pete Thickett there.
Libby into Thickett, and then Christopher had nowhere to go. And
Julio involved hard into the wall. Dan Butler missed that by, man, maybe an inch, maybe. I don't know if we can get a replay of his in-car view. He's been certainly seeing a lot of action tonight and dodging a lot of wrecks, but he missed that car by inches, if that.
21 now, 20 laps to go as the field crosses the line, and pit road is a busy place. Alina Bryden is there for make that 1 lap down. Nope, make that 4 laps down. Mike Christopher Jr. is now 3 laps down on the pit lane. Devin Jensick is on pit road a lap down. Pete Thickett is on pit road a lap down. That gives us 17 lead lap cars. Justin Williams on the pit road in the 17th spot. Matt Swanson also on the pit lane repairing some damage. He will stay on the lead lap. So the lead lap cars beginning to thin, but the best of the best right now up still toward the front, with the exception of Mike Christopher Jr., who was up there battling. We have Brian Narducci, Teddy Hodgson, Aaron Clemens, former race leader Mason Tessier, Travis Haidar is up there as well as we continue under the caution. Now laps ticking away, 18 laps to go.
Matt Vassar got turned around for the lead earlier in this race. He's worked his way back up to 7. Kyle Johnson has been very patient all night from 18th to 8th. Dan Wesson from 20th to 9th. And Dan Butler from 22nd all the way up to 10th. He's been dodging wrecks like crazy tonight, taking care of his equipment, and that's the key here. You have to be smart and take care of your equipment. What a phenomenal race so far, though, for a lot of those drivers that started further back and are working their way up towards the front.
Let's go car. It'll be about 16 to go when we go back under the green flag. A couple of other drivers that have seen their fair share of incidents. Cassandra Cole, just outside of the top 10, will restart in 11th. RJ Serdell's had a tough night, but still running in 12th. Matt Swanson, we've talked about him a couple of times this evening, involved in some incidents. He's 13th. Then his twin, Old Blue, Larry Westgate, right there loading in 14th. As we go back to the green flag, Narducci leads him to the line with
Westgate is around.
laps to go. And
Larry
so is Haidar.
Westgate is around, and that is trouble. He's stuck on track, but he's going to be able to get it moving. No caution flies.
Haidar also around in turn number 1. As you were watching Westgate spin, Haidar looked like might have had a bit of contact. He spins and goes to the back of the field as well in 15th. We continue under the green flag as the leaders come off of turn number 2 and up the back straightaway. Narducci and Hodgson Fun to watch in the real world, fun to watch here in the sim world as they come off of turn number 4, closing in on that's Westgate, I believe they're closing in on off of turn number 1 right now. Westgate to the bottom of the racetrack. He will give the race leaders plenty of room to the high side. Going to complete lap number 67, this time off turn 4.
My favorite driver out here, I'm not allowed to play favorites, but my favorite driver has to be Swowers Westgate. He is definitely having quite a night out here. Swars Westgate, everybody. Brian Narducci having a great night as well. Teddy Hodgson back there in second. Hodgson has just been smooth as ice out here tonight, though. Taking care of his stuff, just running a very, very consistent and smooth line. Very talented driver right there. They all are up here towards the front. I think Hodgson might have something for Narducci here in these closing laps. 12 to go at the line.
It was half Swanson, full Westgate there a couple laps ago as we try to figure out which number 3 that was as they come back down to the line. 12 laps to run here this evening and in this Stafford iRacing series. Again, want to thank everybody for tuning in here on this Friday night and all of the other Friday nights that we have run back since the last weekend of March. Want to thank our producer, Sean, who's done a great job as well from the Global Sim Racing channel. Been improved graphics about every week as we go under the caution flag now with 10 laps to go. And we'll get a look around the racetrack. You have all the technology and the cameras, Jeff, as an iRacer. What do you see, if
Dan
anything?
Wesson.
I see smoke.
Yeah, Dan Wesson is involved. Alina Bryden, I believe, might have been involved as well. But Dan Wesson was definitely the start of it. Oh, yeah, just got loose off the corner. Dan Butler, okay, so here's the thing with iRacing. There's something called netcode where a car can just sort of go through another one if the iRacing platform isn't sure where one is. Dan Butler's going to go right through and no damage to him. But you see coming off the corner here, Dan Wesson just gets loose, holds onto it, and then a touch from Kyle Johnson who's trying to avoid him, sends him around. But let's take a quick onboard view as we are watching here. It's just so difficult to control these cars sometimes.
Again, sawing at the wheel and got hit again. And around he goes for Wesson, currently 14th, still on the lead lap, but the last car on the lead lap, and now he leaves the session, which is saying that you're pretty much done. You're on pit road, behind the wall, and out of the race. And when they go gray on timing and scoring, that pretty much means they have logged out of the session. So Dan Wesson out of the event. That gives us 14 cars on the lead lap. Devin Jensick, I believe, got the free pass. Goes around Robbie Keneally, who is Wednesday night's winner. Also still on the lead lap as of right now, but on pit road. Also on the pit lane, 6 laps down, Travis Haidar, 12 laps down, Justin Williams, and 13 laps down, Pete Fickett. Out of the race, Dan Wesson, Mike Christopher Jr., Alina Bryden, Tyler Wood, Sal Accardi, Mark Alkis, Justin Bren, and Andrew Moeller, who did not take the green flag here this evening. It has been a wild one, Jeff. I think that everyone knows that the real thing is just around the corner. This might be the last time some of these drivers get on the platform here for a little while anyway. They're going to put their efforts toward their real race cars. So kind of go or go home here tonight in this final event.
You're right, and a lot of drivers are really bringing their A game. Matt Vassar, we don't get to talk about him too much. We called him the Slim Reaper in week number 1, and that nickname just sort of stuck with him. But he's just had such bad luck these past few weeks. There's been a lot of drivers where it's not bad luck, it's no luck at all. Matt Vassar's one of them. He was running in the lead and got turned, and now he's fought his way back up to 5th place. I can imagine there would be quite the celebration over there for him if he ended up winning this race here tonight. And he's got a chance to do it. He's starting on the inside. Let's see if he can get something done here. A lot of drivers can still win this. I think Teddy Hodgson really does have a good chance as well. He just needs to get that run on Brian Narducci. And once they take the green flag here, it's going to be 5 laps to go.
It'll be a 5-lap shootout to the finish. Can we get them all in under green, though, is the big question here. Narducci and Hodgson on the front row, Libby and Clemens in row number 2, Vassar and Tessier in row number 3. Field doubled up off of turn number 4. Narducci goes early off of turn number 4. Flags waving. We are back under the green flag. and Narducci gets the jump, and now here comes Plemons to the inside of Hodgson for second.
Hodgson spun the tires on the restart. He just got a little too eager on the gas. Right now, there's a wreck a bit further back, but all eyes are on this battle right here. Now, Ryan Libby to the inside, Teddy Hodgson. He needs to get to the inside line if he wants to have a chance here. The outside line at Stafford just doesn't work here in these cars. Now I think we're going to see Matt Vassar duck to the inside. It's not good news at all for Teddy Hodgson. He gets tight up there and has to save the car. He slides in behind Mason Tessier now. A lot of trouble for him. He drops all the way from second now to sixth place.
Outside of the top 5 for Teddy Hodgson, who was in good position to try and win this event just a couple of laps ago. As one car out of shape, that's Hodgson on the back straightaway. We keep it under the green flag. He keeps the car in position number 6. 2 laps to go for race leader Brian Narducci here in this 80-lap tour-type modified event sponsored by All Phases Renovations. It'll be the white flag this time for Narducci, who leads by just under a half a second over Aaron Plemons, Ryan Libby, Matt Vassar, and Mason Tessier. Final lap of this Stafford Speedway season.
Final lap here. It's sad to see it come to an end, but Brian Narducci, I think he's happy to see the checkered flag here. Now takes it all the way to the bottom, cruising around turns 3 and 4. No Kyle Souza to hit him here. He's got this race won. Brian Narducci wins it. Aaron Plemons in second, and Ryan Libby rounds out your top 3. What a fantastic 80 laps here, presented by All Phases Renovations.
It'll be the 3rd win for Brian Narducci, who also won back on April 3rd and on May 15th, back when we last ran the tour-type modified style cars. He also won an SK modified race on April 3rd, winning here tonight in the middle of June to round out this season on June 12th. Narducci wins by a half second over Aaron Plemons, Ryan Libby, Matt Vassar, and Mason Tessier, the top 5. We'll hear from some of the top finishers in just a few moments. Teddy Hodgson finishing in 6th, as you see the results there on screen. Matt Swanson claws his way up to the 7th spot. Kyle Johnson 8th, Dan Butler 9th, and Robbie Keneally, the Wednesday night winner, comes back to finish in position number 10. Then it's RJ Serdell, Devin Jensick, Cassandra Cole, Jonathan Pulio, who is the last car on the lead lap. Larry Westgate, our sponsor from All Phases Renovations, comes home 1 lap down in 15th. And then everybody else had their hands full all night long, including Dan Wesson 16th, Travis Hydar 17th, Justin Williams 18th, Pete Thickett 19th, and Mike Christopher Jr. rounding out the top 20. Alina Bryden, Tyler Wood, Mark Alkis, Sal Accardi, Justin Bren, and Andrew Moeller will round out the 26-car field here this evening. While we dial Brian Narducci up, along with Aaron Plemons and Ryan Libby, again, a big thank you to All Phases Renovations, the official sponsor of this iRacing event over the last couple of months. $250 purse. Brian Narducci picks up $150 tonight. Aaron Plemons picks up $75, and Ryan Libby picks up the $25 third place bonus. Located in southeastern Massachusetts, All Phases Renovations is your source for outdoor construction needs, including patios, pool renovations, outdoor bars and kitchens, decks, and a whole lot more. Give Larry a call at 508-332-6316 or give him a like on Facebook and learn all of the different projects that All Phases Renovations can aid you with on their official Facebook page.
Now we're waiting for the 3 winners to join in: Brian Narducci, Aaron Plemons, and Ryan Libby. We have Aaron Plemons already, and there's Brian Narducci. He's in as well. But Paula Root tweeted this morning that since the beginning, there were over 40,000 views for the entire series, and that's just absolutely unbelievable. It wouldn't have been possible without everyone tuning in and watching and supporting the show every week. It wouldn't be possible without Sean Ambrose behind the scenes, the Global Sim Racing channel as a whole. It's been absolutely amazing over the past, 3 months it's been?
Yeah.
It's really unbelievable. We had this global pandemic sort of come up, and Stafford Speedway jumped in feet first and said, let's get on iRacing, make something happen. There can't possibly be enough respect and thanks to the Root family, Paula Root, for putting all this together and for tapping us in. But right now, thank you again to Sean Ambrose and you, Kyle, and everyone that's helped behind the scenes to make this happen. It's been absolutely amazing 3 months, and I wanted to say that here before we jumped in with the interview. So everyone watching, thank you from the bottom of all of our hearts. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been fun, and I hear we may do it again during the off season when we get the snow back on the ground here in the Northeast, and it's been fun. It's been really fun to watch evolve from the first week to the final night here tonight, and I look forward to being a part of it, hopefully in a couple of months' time once we get into the winter seasons. All right, let's hear from some of the top finishers now. Jeff's going to talk to them at the podium.
Brian, you got the win tonight. You battled your way up from 6th all the way to 1st. You had a side-by-side battle there with Mike Christopher Jr. for a while. When you had Teddy Hodgson there on your back bumper with about 10 laps to go, what's going through your mind? Did you know you had this race won, or were you a bit worried?
I was a little bit worried just because I thought I had saved enough tires to hold him off, but then he closed in pretty hard. But being the leader on the restart's a big advantage because, I was clear by 3-4 car lengths by the time we pretty much got off of 4. So it made it a little bit easier. And then once the tires heat cycled, it was the car was really stout for like 4 laps until they heated back up again. Then it fell off because the right front was starting to go away a little bit. But I did a nice job saving the right rear throughout the whole race when I was racing with Mike and stuff, just trying to ride and save the right rear.
You've won, 3 of these events now? You're $450 richer. Are we expecting the same success next season now that you're jumping up?
Let's hope so, but you never know. It's tough being a rookie moving up into the SKs. I've seen it for the last couple of years. It's definitely a huge transition. So hopefully we can get back real racing soon and see what happens.
I've seen, Brian, a lot of photos on social media of cars now able to test. That restriction lifted here a couple of weeks ago. So we've seen a bunch of cars on the Stafford Motor Speedway testing for the upcoming, what we assume will be a shortened season. Have you been able to get on track yet?
I tested an SK Light a couple weeks ago for Team Card and Norm Sears just to shake it down with them a little bit, but other than that, not yet. So hopefully we can get the race season coming up soon so we can get back out on the track. And just got to thank all my sponsors, the Florida Connection, my Aunt and Uncle Greg, Robert B.R. Construction, Waddell Communications, Sign Pro, Canterbury Mini Storage, EB Exterminating, and everybody that's on my crew. And hopefully we can see them soon, get back racing, and everybody that helps me out. And real racing and iRacing and whatever it comes to. Thank you.
Well, you answered my last question of anyone left to thank. But next up, we've got Mr. Aaron Plemons, who finished 2nd here tonight. Aaron, you had a great run out there. You came home with the 2nd place finish. I have to ask, though, what more did you need there to catch Brian Narducci at the end? That's a tall order, I know, but what more did you need?
Tire. I had 0 tire left. It's drifting every corner. Pretty much all of my tires.
Well, I think everyone was begging for more tires out there. So how did the car change over the course of the run? Was it quite a drastic difference, you think?
Yes, I started off really tight. I felt like if I had a really long run, I could have done better, but it was caution after caution after caution. I had that big.
Having some connection issues here, Aaron. Do you have anyone you'd like to thank here for that 2nd place finish?
I would like to thank Rapid Sim Sport, Dylan Acosta for spotting, Jordan's Used Auto Parts, Fine Scroll Racing, everybody that supports Stafford for putting this.
All right, I think we've lost him. Yeah, Aaron Plemons finishing 2nd here tonight. Bit of a connection issue there. So let's hear from our 3rd place finisher, Jeff.
Mr. Ryan Libby from 9th all the way up to 3rd here tonight. That doesn't sound like much for some of the viewers out there, but we all know that when you're getting down there and having to make those passes, it's not easy. So what was your strategy from the beginning of the race, since you knew you had to get up towards the front and pass some cars to do so?
Well, the strategy was really to kind of ride around in 9th or 7th, which was an odd number to stay on the inside because the outside lane was really not a good place to be tonight. So that was the strategy. And, we're kind of making our way up, saving the right rear tire. I just wanted to have something for the end for whoever was in the top 3. And then something happened there out of turn 4, and I kind of got caught up in that. And I got probably a little over a minute worth of damage on the right front. So we had to make a pit stop, and we actually had to go back to like 20th and work our way up. And it was just kind of like a one car at a time deal and not really use up your tires, but which is hard to do when you're trying to come through the pack. But luckily, we managed to actually do it and pick off a top 3.
Absolutely a fantastic top 3 finish there at the end of the night. Who do you have to thank for that 3rd place run?
I just got to thank, North End Auto Parts, and got to thank a couple of my sponsors. I'm in a league, North Force Racing, and I want to thank Stafford Speedway for actually putting this on. It is a ton of fun. I know because this whole pandemic thing, we're all still cooped up and we want to go to racetrack really bad, but at least this gives us something to do on Wednesday and Friday nights, for the fans and drivers. And I also like to thank you guys with the broadcast. I've been on iRacing quite a bit, and I've watched a lot of broadcasts, and you guys do a really great job.
Well, we appreciate that, Ryan. Final question for you. You mentioned Wednesday nights and Friday nights. You finished 2nd on Wednesday night in the Horton Group fan event. How much did that help you prepare for tonight's event, knowing that you were able to go through this whole format in these cars 48 hours ago?
Actually, it helped out a lot because I actually knew in practice what the car would be like, and at the end of practice, the track rubbers up, it definitely tightens up, you get a lot more speed out of it. And then that race also, it was kind of halfway up until halfway, you really had to run the car like 3/4, halfway to 3/4. You really couldn't push the car, and I kind of knew that going into the event already, not to push the car too much and at least have something for the end. So Wednesday night definitely helped out.
All right. We appreciate your time joining us here. Congratulations on the good run, and best of luck to you in the real world when we get back up and rolling.
Thank you.
All right. Ryan Libby finishing in the 3rd spot here tonight. And Jeff, that'll wrap it up here. It's been a fun 3 months, but I hope to see you in person soon at the real Stafford Motor Speedway.
I'll tell you what, I'll bring you a mask that you can wear. We'll match. How about that, Kyle?
Can't wait. Although I have a couple of masks already. So we'll see. We'll see the style that you bring. But it's been fun. I'm glad to be a part of it. Thank you for being a part of it from the start, way back on March 27th. It seems like a lifetime ago.
Wow. That's hard to believe. It's been something I've looked forward to every week. I don't know what I'm going to do with my Friday nights now. This was really the highlight of them. But yeah, it's been amazing seeing it evolve, like you said. Thank you to everyone involved that helped make this happen. Sean Ambrose behind the scenes did a fantastic job making sure that we knew what we were doing, making sure everything looked good, and really making sure that all of this came together. Kyle, thank you as well. Bonsa, Hollow Root, the whole Root family, and the staff of Stafford Speedway. It was really, really incredible from the beginning to end. And thank you especially to everyone that watched, tuned in, week out, all over 40,000 of you over the course of these 3 months. That still blows my mind.
Absolutely. Thanks to the Root family. Thanks to Sean. You mentioned the look of the show. It improved every week. Bonza, yourself. I'm Kyle Rickey. We'll see you down the road, hopefully at the Stafford Motor Speedway. But for now, we want to congratulate Brian Narducci picking up the race win here tonight in the 80-lap event here for the Tour Type Modified, sponsored by All Phases Renovations. Good night and enjoy the rest of your weekend.